and welcome back to the Double Radio Wrestlecast. We're here with some spicy takes on Forbidden Door 2023. Alright, you boys ready to talk about Forbidden Door?
I don't think any of them will be spicy. I
Yeah,
think
I don't,
most people agree.
I came out swinging strong there. I don't think it's going to be spicy takes at all. Maybe one or two. We'll fit in one or two terrible takes, but let's go ahead and jump right into it. I'm Ryan. I'm here with Brett and Ryan.
Wow.
Hello.
Great. Okay, so we had a pre-show set of matches, and we complained last time about how the pre-show didn't have a lot of matches. And AEW looked at us and said, "You're stupid idiots," and made it a lot of matches. So there were 4 pre-show matches.
5 it says on the...
Well, one of them was dark.
One of them was a dark match because Adam Cole got sick, so Tom Lawler had to beat up...
True.
Yeah, that match was not a televised match.
Yeah, it sucks because last time we were like, oh, why aren't they doing this anymore? And I guess the thought process just kind of silently become, well, I guess they're not going to do that many pre-show matches anymore. So at least when the show first was being broadcast, we really didn't watch them. You said you went back, Ryan, but I kind of tuned in like the middle of the second one because I didn't expect there to be any. So I started watching and I was like, oh my god, wrestling is happening in my pay-per-view.
They kicked it off with an 8-man tag match or a 3-man tag match.
I think it was 8.
Yeah, it was 8-man tag. So that was not what I was expecting, and I did fully miss this match when it was airing. Have gone back to watch it because it's a good match. I think this group of people is very good at what they do, and Swerve is always very fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm glad he won this one, even though afterwards he is still losing.
Yeah,
it's true.
I feel like that is the Swerve story right now. Brian Cage showed up again here. I feel like this is the first time we've seen him in a while. It's as close as he's going to get to a pay-per-view for a little bit, I think. So
he's been more so on Ring of Honor as of right now than AEW.
Yeah, which makes sense. He seems like a good fit for Ring of Honor. And yeah, I think nothing super crazy to write home about in this match, but it was good. It's Mogul Embassy is the team for Swerve versus Chaos, which been a while since we've seen Chaos in action.
The only funny thing about it is El Desperado is with Chaos, considering that last year he was not part of Chaos because Suzuki-gun was still a thing last year.
Yeah,
but now Suzuki-gun isn't a thing. And by extension, El Desperado technically would be part of just the in-between floater group with Chaos and just the unaffiliated faces of New Japan. So that's where he is.
Yep.
It's fine.
El Desperado then went on to commentate the rest of the night.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
There were multiple masked men.
Yeah, he normally, because that's what he normally does. He commentates AEW shows for New Japan World. So
nice. I'm glad he got to do both.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a rough recovery time. Turn around real fast to get to the commentary. All right. Our next match, and Mogul Embassy won that. Swerve Strickland got a solid finishing thing in there. So, moving on to Athena versus Billy Starks. This was a match I didn't expect much from, just because I didn't know who Billy Starks was. But I gotta say, at least in one category, this match blows the rest of the women's division out of the water. Up your attire game. Okay.
For sure.
This is
I think Billy Starks.
Yeah,
Billy Starks does kick ass though, because the reason that she's only recently been showing up in AEW is that she's another one of those cases where she's super young, right? And they couldn't legally hire her for a while, and now I'm pretty sure she's old enough. She's just like finishing school or something, right?
Yeah, so the first time she made an appearance on AEW was she's on Ring of Honor a
Yes.
bit earlier this year, like maybe around February, because that was around the time I think she was able to start to appear, but again, like not be signed because she was in school. She had a match against Jade Cargill at a Battle of the Belts. Also, lost there, but looked good. It was one of Jade's better matches on the end of stuff.
Yeah.
She had some house show matches for AEW, which is really weird. And then, this is the most recent thing that she's done with it. But I think Tony Schiavone kind of said in his podcast that she's already signed. But
Good.
this was like
Good luck,
after
Schiavone.
Battle. Yeah, this was after Battle of the Belts, which was I want to say at least almost 4 or 3 months ago.
Yeah, it was a while.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm 99% sure she is signed. So
Good.
they're just having her lose right now because she's 18.
Yeah, like Athena is not
Makes
a
sense.
bad person to lose to.
No, yeah.
Yeah,
So I think this match was good. Again, I love both of these women's attires. I think most of the women's division has get some Joshi inspired stuff in there more.
Yeah.
Give me more Jamie Hayter type attires. I think it looks impressive rather than just the 2-piece that everyone wears. So
Yeah. I think Hikaru Shida should design everybody's outfits
exactly.
in the women's division.
Let's turn it into an anime tournament arc.
Agreed.
yeah.
Right.
Athena's been killing it though in Ring of Honor.
I've heard,
she's had-
Yeah.
yeah, she's just been having 2 to 5 minute matches against quote unquote not signed people, or what would be considered to be jobbers, kinda, even though they've appeared a lot. And she's destroyed them in 2 minutes.
Jeez.
And then she actually had a street fight against Kiera Hogan that was pretty good because they remember that they had Kiera Hogan.
That's Which also sucks because Kiera Hogan is also not bad. It's a shame that she just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, I feel like that's been a consistent through line of AEW's women's division, is people just kind of show up and then disappear. To be fair, that also happens in the men's division quite a lot.
Yeah.
Big roster, yeah.
Yeah, big roster, and they just have an aversion to explaining away any disappearances.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the one gripe I tend to have with it. Is just I would like something to be like, hey, this person's injured. This person's in Ring of Honor right now, to know what's going on. All right. Next we had El Phantasmo. Also, yeah, Athena won that match. If we didn't.
Before we go on, due to you guys mentioning that, do you know who's back wrestling with the company? Who's been
back?
Injured? Layla Hirsch.
Oh yeah, she's in Ring
Oh
of
my
Honor
god.
now, right?
Yeah, she came back last week.
Oh my god, but people love her. Why would they make a big deal about that?
I don't know. I don't know.
Sucks. Tony.
Yeah.
Come on.
No, it feels like injuries can really sideline you in AEW. All right. Yeah, after that match, we move on to... Also, that was the part of the Owen Hart Tournament Cup thing.
Yeah.
So we will see another Athena match at some point. Hopefully against someone else.
I think it's against Willow. I
think so.
Yeah, that's going to be a good match. That's a good set of people to put against each other. So... All right, El Phantasmo and Stu Grayson are our next two match competitors. El Phantasmo coming out with the spicy jacket.
Yep.
Incredible LED jacket. And Stu with a wild entrance.
Yeah.
I didn't actually watch until just now. So
yeah, I think Excalibur explained it, but I don't know who those people are. That's not the Dark Order. So I was like, what? Okay. But even though he's back in the company, he's been just kind of just all over the place anyway, in a bunch of different smaller non-AEW places. which is good for him.
I think he's also been on Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
That is a thorough line thread this way.
Yeah. But yeah, I my parents have been exposed to El Phantasmo now, so whether that's a positive or a negative for their lives is yet to be seen. But I sure am glad because this match it was on the shorter side, but it was pretty solid. It was just a nice just slew of spectacles one after another.
This felt like what a pre-show match should be, like a
it's getting the crowd
7-minute
hyped
long, pretty crazy just spectacle fest, because it doesn't need to be super in depth. Like no one's expecting anything from a pre-show match, so surprise them and get them hyped up for the main event. I think that's a good tactic to take.
Both of them were Canadian too, so they're like, let's get the Canadians on here.
Yeah.
All right. Our final pre-show match was Los Ingobernables de Japan versus the United Empire. Another good match. This is a very NJPW heavy match.
Yes. I'm gonna be honest. I did not watch this match in particular out of all the pre-show ones because I feel like I've seen this match like 5 times already.
Yeah,
it's because that was my only gripe with this one. This one is a very technically Kyle Fletcher is part of the AEW roster now. Aussie Open is, but his partner is injured. But I mean, technically, this was just United Empire and New Japan, and that is just Lij. And I've probably seen a combination of this match on one of the many just shows that New Japan has. I was like, I think I'm good, but I'm glad that Shingo and Bushi and all of them were able to, especially Hiromu, because Hiromu was supposed to be in the tag match with Shingo, Darby, and Sting last year.
Yes.
But he got injured, and so I'm glad that he was able to make it. But I really wish they were able to do something more with him.
Yeah. I mean, anytime I see Shingo in a match, I'm excited.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I wish I had seen Shingo versus someone in the AEW roster.
Yeah. Because I think it makes sense because we're still probably in the period where a lot of people who are just getting into wrestling because of AEW still New Japan. There's the semi-language barrier. It's on a different service. You gotta go to the website that it looks like it's gonna infect your computer with the Black Plague in order to watch it. And so I on the one hand, having just a match of just oh well, this is just going to be something that you'd expect to see from just New Japan. It makes sense, but also it's it would be cool to have seen the Lij versus a trio of AEW specific guys to have the crossover kind of aspect to it.
Yeah.
And also Shingo just needs to be on the main card of the pay-per-view. We're a trio of Shingo enjoyers in this podcast right now, and I think we would all be we will all not be sated until this man gets towards the top of the card on the Forbidden Door pay-per-view because he kicks ass.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to say that they did anything wrong here because I think this was a good match either way. But I would have loved to have seen Lij versus Death Triangle or something crazy like that. I think that would have been really fun to see. So, all right, we're at the end of the pre-show, moving into the main card. Our first match is our title match. So I have a feeling this is probably the best place to have put this match, considering what the finale actually is.
Yes, I agree.
But yeah, our MJF and Tanahashi match was first. We kicked it off with MJF and Hiroshi Tanahashi. This was a very good match, I think. Running theme through the night.
Yeah.
A lot of very good matches. Tanahashi's always super impressive.
Yeah, I'm a big Tanahashi fan. I because I've been watching the guy for a while now, but I'm starting to get kind of sad watching him because I can kind of see The gears are slowing for him. He's not moving as fast anymore. His knees are absolutely destroyed.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is like he can still go out there. He still gets the crowd behind him. They still all want him to win. He still does his air guitar, and he's still just as good. He's just significantly. He's getting old, and I also feel like that's probably why it was probably because even between last year and with the match against Mox, and now you can still kind of tell that like there is some oldness slowing down going on, but I think he did great.
Yeah, I think they chose a good opponent too. MJF tends to wrestle a slower style of match. Like if they had put, I don't know, Tanahashi versus Kenny or something, I feel like that would be kind of a mismatch. Just because, I mean, Kenny plays fast and hard. He's very quick and hard to recover from. So like MJF's like taunting and whatnot gives a lot of time for this match to like feel like a regular match and not be affected by any kind of aging. So.
Exactly, yeah, and they like just even in just the taunting segments, they played off each other really well, especially because Tanahashi really doesn't have to do that much to get the crowd on his side, and MJF is just really good at picking like every single little thing to make fun of or like do a little extra thing for one of Tanahashi's moves to like piss him off or make him scream "what the fuck" or something. But yeah, I think because of that reason, just because of the opponent being such a better fit for him, I think this match completely overshadows the match he had with Mox last year. Because that match wasn't bad, but that one was like all I could think about was how kind of like a little bit depressing it was. Because like this could 10 years ago this could have been like super sick, but like it's still cool. But
Mox tends to lean into like super heavy hitting hard spots. That would just be kind of dangerous for someone who is slowing down a little bit. And so I think they wound up not doing a lot of those, which is like Mox's signature. And so this time, like MJF is not known for that. Like he's not a person who does the super heavy hitting slow match aside from like the dog collar match. But I think this was a great showing and a great match of competitors here. MJF manages to look so ungodly pissed off every time Tanahashi starts to get back up that it's very funny.
That's awesome.
I do like how MJF also has now started to use the Dragon Screw leg whip as a move in his arsenal, because he's been using that in his normal matches too. I think he used it against Ethan Page on Collision. And which is Tanahashi's signature move. I think that move fits MJF pretty well.
Yeah, agree.
Yep. Any other like spots that stood out to people in this match? This was not a particularly long match. I think this ran just for 20 minutes on the dot, basically.
15:30, yeah.
15:30, yeah. 20 minutes with the entrances.
Yeah, nothing too crazy that I can think about. It was just
MJF went for a couple eye pokes here, which I enjoy because he did it directly in front of the ref every time. MJF gets away with some shit. I do like that the commentary made out that like they're not going to end in a DQ though, because of this is Tanahashi's chance. Why would you take it away from him? Just seems like a fun angle to take with that. All right. Any final thoughts before we move on to our CM Punk versus Satoshi Kojima match?
It's just a solid match. I don't know. There's nothing really wrong with it.
All right. Moving on to CM Punk and Satoshi Kojima. Man, what a can of worms.
What a can of worms.
To open up for our second match. Brett, I know you have strong feelings.
I was doing laundry when this match was on.
So, I thought this match was really good.
Yeah, I think
I'm sure if you watched it, it was fine. I have no doubt that it was probably good.
Satoshi Kojima is very fun to watch. Look, the reason we're being coy here is all the CM Punk stuff, and I think the fact that most of us haven't watched Collision
Oh, I have.
No, yeah.
So,
I've watched every episode.
I intended to, and then just kind of didn't.
Listen, it's on when it's on like at an easier time when I work, and I feel like there's more cool stuff happening on that than Rampage most of the time.
You're probably
So-
right.
Yeah, no, I haven't watched Rampage for a hot minute. Yeah, I do.
Punk, yeah, I mean, like Punk's been kind of leaning into him being like a tweener, and like kind of going to be a heel, and I think he did that exceptionally well at this match because the crowd fucking hated him.
Yep, the difference
imagine
between
why.
what I've seen of like the Collision premiere of CM Punk versus this was like the entire crowd was against Punk. Like,
So that was the other weird thing too, is because the night before it was Collision at the same place, and like they were kind of, it was like 50-50 with them during the match that they had, and then they just decided no.
yeah, I mean, I think it's the like people that are going to the pay-per-view are pretty hooked into wrestling news, and so there
makes
was
sense,
an
yeah.
attitude that was, I think people understood a little bit more of the background of why people don't like CM Punk right now, and yeah, I mean him playing it up by like doing the like Jesus arms out towards the crowd booing at him. It's a great visual. I think it's fine. Like, I'm not going to continue to be mad at Punk all the time because it just is a waste of energy. And it looks like things, at least between the Bucks and Punk, have been kind of worked out. So I'm not.
Yeah.
If they're over it, I don't feel the need to be extra petty about it. But at the same time,
Cabana's
like,
back too.
yeah. I mean, I hope everything's squared away. Because if Punk is playing up a tweener role and things aren't squared away, I could see some big drama going down, which I don't think any of us want to see. Like, that's not.
No.
I don't want another Larry getting carried out of the room by Kenny, who gets bitten by Ace Steel story.
Yeah, keep it in the ring.
Keep it in the ring.
Fun things in this match. CM Punk started going in a really raspy voice when he was lariating Kojima in the corner, kept on going Kojima, which is a reference to a shoot interview him and Samoa Joe did in 2004, which made me pop because I saw that. And then Satoshi Kojima elbowed CM Punk in the nuts.
Hey, it was pretty great. That's a good move. I think if Brett would watch that, he'd be singing a different tune right now.
Yeah, Satoshi Kojima goes for his signature elbow drop. He does in all of his matches. Overshot it by a mile and landed right square. It's nuts.
Yeah, I do love how much Satoshi Kojima looks like a Yakuza character during this entire match. He looks like a Yakuza boss. I think it's funny because he has the stance for it. He does the big like arms out approach.
Well, he was in Yakuza 6.
Oh yeah, I know. He's one of the like there's a wrestling side story in 6, so a bunch of NJPW wrestlers are in Yakuza 6. And Kenny is too. Kenny's in Kenny's in Like a Dragon, but yeah, it's pretty crazy. How old is Satoshi Kojima now? He's pushing?
He's 52. He's older than Tanahashi, and I think in some instances,
Oh man,
he still kind of looks better than Tanahashi.
Yeah, I think his style's a little bit more friendly to it. See, he was also a good match for CM Punk. Like, this is another. I think they chose the right people to go against each other here. Of like both Punk and oh my god, Kojima are upper end of I think wrestling prime is probably what to say. Kojima reminds me a lot of Christian. I think that's how I would put it. Of like,
that is a really good comparison to, like, Kojima is like definitely is like really popular in Japan, and he's won a bunch of like titles in all the different Japanese promotions. But I feel like that's a really good slot for him because he's also like a really big tag guy with Tenzan, who doesn't really wrestle too much anymore because his feet are like he walks sideways. It's really cool.
Cool ability. Very cool ability.
I feel like that's a really good comparison to make with Kojima.
Yeah,
he's just like good at like every, like even for all the other AEW matches he had. Like he had the match against Mox, at All Out. He's just. I think he's just good.
Did he have one against Eddie too?
I
at least remember Eddie screaming his name.
That rings a bell. I don't remember fully.
Okay. No, apparently not. That definitely feels like when Eddie Kingston was running through the Japanese Legend Gauntlet on the pre-shows at the pay-per-views. So it must have just been Ishii and Jun Akiyama. I love the way he says Jun Akiyama.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, because I can imagine him saying Kojima. Yeah. Someday it'll happen.
Someday. Anyways, we're not talking about the match anymore.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very standard wrestling match, I think. So
yeah, I knew Punk. Yeah, that's the thing, is he knew Punk was gonna win.
Yeah, and there's a lot of fun exchanges here of like them getting on the outside, and Kojima getting an upper hand, and then Punk getting it back, and a lot of like apron stuff going on. This is really solid, just like generic wrestling match, I think is the way to put this. Yeah, no crazy spots, but it didn't need any of them. Like, I think it if there was like a table brought out at some point, it would have felt weird. So,
yeah.
All right. CM Punk takes us home, getting, I would say, more heat. Probably. The reaction of the crowd. And that moves us on to Orange Cassidy versus Zack Sabre Jr., Katsuyori Shibata, and Daniel Garcia in a 4-way for the International Championship.
This match was awesome, and I can't believe it was only 11 minutes, because it felt a lot longer watching it.
Yeah, it did, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, I think all four of these people were able to play really well off of each other, and I really like how they set up all the spots between each other.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, we're still just going with the Orange Cassidy like desperation arc. Not like desperation, but like he's hurt. you know?
Yeah. I think that's why this match was short. Is they wanted to play that up and have it be like Cassidy just barely managed to actually take this.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm super impressed with Orange lately. I think he's been doing a really good job with his championship. And actually having like some really banger matches. Not to say that he's ever had a bad match, but I think these have been like a particularly good set of championship matches, especially as like a example for how to do a jokey character in them.
Because that's the thing too. It's been so like matches happen so often, but he's been championship for a while. Like, this is not a short reign.
I would not have been surprised to see him lose it here because of how long his reign's been.
He won a Grand Slam last year, right?
I think so, yeah.
Been a good while, especially for a mid-card title to stay on one person.
But this group of guys, it's just incredible. Like, I feel like this would be just like a really crackpot group of people to throw together like 2 or 3 years ago or something, before the Forbidden Door thing was a possibility. But they just play off each other so well. And it doesn't it feels like kind of a continuation of the tag match they had on the Rampage or Dynamite before, but not like the same thing, which I feel like sometimes that happens, is that especially in like a Jericho feud, they'll just fight each other like 3 times, and then it's like in the pay-per-view and it's just the same match again, and it's like, okay, why are we doing this? But this didn't feel like a repeat. It just felt like a fitting continuation for the things they built up in the tag match they had earlier.
Yeah, I think they all fit well here too, is because they're all really technical guys, you know, like because Orange Cassidy deceptively being like a really technical wrestler, like in terms of like all the holds and stuff that he does, and Daniel Garcia, that's pretty much all he does besides this cool dance.
His cool dance and his ripped pants, yeah.
Yeah, and then Zack and Shibata, pretty much. Well, Zack, that's what he does just in general, and Shibata more so now after subdural hematoma. So yeah, this match was really good. I liked how Orange and Shibata and all Zach were all in the ring. I really hope to see any of those these people like fight again somehow.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I would love to see ZSJ and Orange Cassidy in a singles match at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what that would look like, but I think it would be very entertaining. So, yeah, Orange Cassidy retained his title here. This is a pretty impressive retention, I think, just in terms of like when Orange Cassidy loses this, whoever takes it is going to get a big bump. So
yeah, really, because he had to he just snuck out the win pretty much.
Yep. Being very resourceful with his wins. All right, any final thoughts on this match before we move on? Nope.
I think that thing that Zack Sabre Jr. does, where the guy's laying on the ground and he puts one foot on either side of his head and he spins around and it looks like he's breaking his neck, is the most painful looking thing that people have been doing in wrestling lately, and it looks really cool.
Yep. All right. Moving on to Sanada and Jack Perry with Hook. Sanada had Dookie. I don't know who Dookie is. But
yeah, Dookie. How do you not Dookie? Listen, I'm a Dookie maniac. He's crazy.
You're a huge Dookie fan.
You should have seen the Rampage before. I think Brett watched it too. He had a match against Jungle Boy, and the crowd just started chanting for Dookie. It was awesome. They were going crazy for him. So Dookie used to be the job guy for Suzuki-gun. Because El Desperado broke his jaw in a match a couple years ago against Jun Kasai in a death match. And
I'm pretty sure Jun Akiyama is a Yakuza character.
Yeah. So yeah, Desperado broke his jaw. They needed a replacement. Doki was literally a guy that Desperado knew. He's a Japanese guy, but he was wrestling Mexican indies. So they brought him in, lost every match, I think, because he was trying to get himself disqualified and lose, and everyone hated him. And then he's just kind of been there for a couple of years now, and now he's like kind of winning, and now he's kind of the job guy in Sonata's new group with Taichi, just 5 guys. Which was originally just 4 guys.
I'm glad for this crash course in Dookie history.
Now you know.
Yeah, he didn't do anything this match though, so he just kind of sat there and looked cool.
Yeah, I mean, same with Hook. I think Hook was just kind of there to show off a little bit. Yeah, I think this match was also very good. Jungle Boy, I think, has really improved in the last 2 years compared to some of his early matches. So I'm always excited to see him now. He stands up quite a lot. There was a spicy moment at the end of this. Yes. I think we're going to talk about as soon as we get done with the match. But Jungle Boy's on an arc here, and I think they're playing it up very well, and taking the opportunity to expand on that in Forbidden Door was very fun. Yeah, any thoughts mid-match for this? I think this is one of the few that, it didn't stand out to me super much while I was watching it.
Because, I mean, you know for a fact, Jungle Boy's not winning. That would be a very strange turning point in on
his
the
downward
timeline.
Spiral.
Yeah, but I feel like there was some doubt, because it's like, oh well, he's Jungle Boy. He's not gonna go heel this fast or whatever. But he got beaten pretty soundly. I like because we watched I forget how long ago it was, but it was something in New Japan where Sonata was fighting against good old Gene Blast,
Yoda
the new lion that's been the young lion that came back and starts kicking everyone's ass. And I like the kind of way that Sonata has been fighting the last little bit, where he's like, all right, I don't really know who this guy is because I don't care, and he's a nobody, so I'm just gonna kind of learn in the middle of fighting him. And I feel like you can kind of see it in this match too, where Jungle Boy tries doing certain things again, and Sonata sees it coming and is able to counter or dodge it. which is I feel like why they played up the whole Sonata in an interview said that he has no idea who Jungle Boy is, which is funny and also part of his character, I guess.
There's tons of moments here where Sonata just like reactively catches Jungle Boy after Jungle Boy does like one successful move. Sonata then immediately counters and controls the match again, which is it feels like a one-sided match for sure.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, so Sonata defeats Jungle Boy here pretty soundly. Then we move on to the entrance ramp, and Jungle Boy does a spicy thing to Hook. He gets real angry and decks him real good.
Taz is pissed on commentary.
Taz left the commentary booth.
Yeah, after his... Oh, man.
He was like, I'm gonna kill this guy, and he got up and left.
I'm gonna kill him.
Find out if he's dead. It's one Dynamite.
I think this is a good change for Jungle Boy because
I agree.
You know, I feel like, especially considering the guy was with Christian for so long, I feel like he would have to pick up something from him, and he's kind of doing it. He's like acting kind of. He had that promo on Dynamite. He's acting kind of cocky. He's like, I'm not coming out to Tarzan Boy anymore. I hate you all. And then, we'll see how it goes. But I think overall, I think this is a good change for Jungle Boy. Because kind of stagnant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because during when they were building up the 4 Pillars match, I remember people were like, okay, yeah, like Darby's got like the whole package, Sammy's got the whole package, MJF obviously has the whole package where they have like they're super capable in the ring and on the mic. But Jungle Boy is like he's really good in the ring, but he's still just kind of like a guy on the mic, and he needs something more because his promos for the most part, he needs something, and this is the something because I think his first heel promo on the Dynamite after this was easily his best one so far, just from the sheer fact that I can remember it because I think most of his other promos have been like reactions to other guys that are better talkers than he is, kind of like trying to play off them, but now he's kind of in control now, and I think it's a good situation for Hook to build off too, because now he's in a big feud with like Jungle Boy's not a nobody anymore. So
that'd be fun to see if they put the FTW championship on the line.
If Jungle Boy manages to walk to Tony Khan's office without being absolutely destroyed by Hook.
I think this is really interesting. I'm excited to see where this goes. I do wonder if this is going to lean either towards or away from Christian and Luchasaurus right now, of like if they're going to try to relink it up and make them a heel faction, or if they're going to do the opposite and have like a 2 heels versus each other scenario, because I think that could be either way. It could be really interesting, and I would love to see heel Jungle Boy versus heel Christian, because that match would be brutal.
It would be.
And Jungle Boy unleashed, it'd be very fun to watch. All right, next match is our 10-man tag with the Elite versus Blackpool Combat Club, joined by, on the Elite side, Tomohiro Ishii and Eddie Kingston, and Blackpool Combat Club, Shota Umino, and the rest of the Blackpool Combat Club.
Konosuke Takeshita. I don't think he's officially part of Blackpool Combat Club yet, but he kind of is.
Yeah, he feels like he is. Konosuke, I think, definitely feels like he is in the Wheeler Yuta spot right now. Especially because I think Yuta got injured at some point recently.
After his match with Kenny,
They said he kind of tore his hamstring, and they're hoping it's not going to be too bad.
It's a partial tear and not a full tear.
Tear. So hopefully this will be good for blood and guts, but that would also be kind of dangerous. So I don't know what they're going to do there, because they already need to have a replacement for Danielson. We'll talk about that later. And they need a replacement for Eddie, because Eddie's going to be in the G1.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So I wonder how that Blood and Guts is going to go through, just because it seems like a lot of the players for it are out of the game for the moment. So I feel like they still want to have the Blood and Guts, but I don't know if they have enough people to make it work without pulling in some really weird things.
Yeah.
And maybe weird things is what we need. Maybe we need a if we had still have William Regal, he needs to come up and be like, we're pulling in all these other people, but we don't. So, yeah, this match was really good. I think the Elite here, they played up the storyline of like Eddie has mixed feelings about the match because he really hates some people in Blackpool, but really likes other people. It's like he really wanted to go after Claudio's guts and didn't really get the chance, which unfortunate. Other moments that stood out to people in this match.
The moment when Eddie and Mox were chopping each other while just everything else, the rest of the match was going on in the background.
Yep.
Yeah, that was pretty metal as fuck.
Yeah. Konosuke and Ishii, I think this is the first time Konosuke and Ishii have ever been in a ring together, and that was
Please
really
don't let
good.
it be the last.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Because, yeah, it's just crazy just how good Konosuke is, just in general, but especially against Ishii, because, like, you know, Konosuke's a really hard-hitting guy, and so is Ishii, and it was really fun to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also feel like Konosuke, it's easy to forget how big he is. Because he looks small compared to, like, some people on the roster, but then he stands up next to Ishii, and you're like, oh, yeah, Konosuke is built.
He's gigantic.
Yeah.
He's terrifying.
Yeah. Like, it's a great, like, elbow fight in the middle of this.
Yeah. I forever will fall victim to enjoying the human bullfight where neither person falls over because they're just they just want to no sell so bad that they're not gonna take it. Never gets old.
Yeah. Yeah, again, the Kingston and Moxley chop fest is a good time, especially because they're playing up over commentary the whole time that Moxley and Kingston are friends, but they're not willing to, play it down at all. They're gonna go hard. So
yeah
Eddie really fun.
Eddie intercepting that one, the one like shot that the Bucks were trying to use against Mox is pretty sick too.
Yeah,
that was cool. That was neat.
Anime storytelling.
Do you guys know? Do you guys know that Hangman Matt and Neck all shave their eyebrows like how Eddie shaves his before the match? Yeah.
Oh, that's super
I did not notice that. That's hilarious.
They posted a picture of it on Instagram, and it was on one thing to being the Elite after this. But yeah, they all shaved their eyebrows to try to be all one cohesive unit. Obviously, Ishii didn't, but
no, yeah,
yeah,
that is awesome.
Yeah, I do think having Ishii be the one who got the pin here was a good call, because it means it's still more question of like, at Blood and Guts, is the Elite actually better, or was it just that they had Ishii?
Yeah,
I think they can play up that storyline a lot. So I hope that they do. I hope that despite all the injuries, this feud can go through, because as fun as it is, it's been going on for a while now. So
well, it's okay because now they'll have Ibushi to spice things up, right, Tony Khan?
Right, Tony Khan?
Finally, please.
Imagine I think Ibushi shows up on Blackpool's side because they're the one missing people.
I think it's got to be, because Omega was talking about it after the show recently, like to the crowd. He said it's a friend that he has in Japan, and unless they mean Nakazawa, which wouldn't make any sense.
That would make nobody happy.
As fun as Nakazawa is, I don't think anyone wants to see that.
No.
Yeah, so this ends with Ishii penning Yuta in an impressive standing suplex. So aside from that, moving on to our next match, which was our women's championship match. And again, they have the habit of putting the women's championship match right in between two very, very impressive matches.
Yeah.
In just the dead slot. This is... It is truly a shame.
Well, before we get into this match that I was going to talk...
You're cutting out, Ryan.
Oh, no. Hello?
Yeah.
You're back, I think.
You're
okay.
back.
All right. Well, I was going to say, I don't think this match is actually the dead slot. I think a match coming up is the dead slot, and it was also the worst show of the card, the worst match of the show.
What are you talking about?
but we'll get to that. But I mean, like, Willow's good, Tony's good. I wish they had more time.
This is the same comments we have every single time there's a women's championship match on the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Like, I think this one in
true.
particular felt bad because both of these people, this was fun to watch. Like, they had a good match that just didn't have enough time or enough build.
Yeah, they did chop each other really hard during this match, I remember. And that was cool. I also just think, because, you know, if we're being honest here, because you know how Willow wasn't supposed to win the championship. She has.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
No, Mercedes Moné was supposed to win that championship, but Mercedes got injured in the match against Willow, which was the finals of the match. So they just kind of had to.
They called an audible.
They called an audible, and Willow. That's why Willow was the champion. She did really good.
I was wondering about what happened there because I was like, I cannot see Willow. Beating
she was
Mercedes
not. Yeah, she was not supposed to win that match, and she is no longer the champion either. As of 3 days ago, she lost against Julia from Stardom. At the
I mean, of the people to lose to, Julia's a good.
Yeah, at the New Japan Independence Day show that happened this past week. But
yeah, it's really wacky seeing Willow come in with a belt. This match. Yeah, I mean, as fun as she is to watch, it feels like a mismatch a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially because I think they're playing up the Owen Hart Cup storyline right now of like a title shot at the end of that.
Yeah, and I definitely feel like because she's going up against Athena, and I definitely can see Willow beating like Athena to build the story out of that. So this is like in general a really weird time to have this match because like Willow's in the middle of that tournament, but she's also having the women's. I don't know.
It's strange.
I still feel at the end of the day this was supposed to be Mercedes having a match here, but obviously that didn't happen.
Someday it will, because
that would have been insane.
Cool.
Unfortunately, I feel like because it kind of disrespects Tony and Willow here. I feel like if Mercedes was there, they definitely would have put more time into it than they did.
Probably,
for sure. Which is a shame that they presumably cut this a little short because it wasn't Mercedes. Because I do think Willow is fine. Like she's not. I think people underestimate her a lot, and that she would be fine in a longer match. But she hasn't been given a chance to really show off that much, at least in AEW. But yeah, this was fine. It was our one women's match of the night.
Yeah.
Which feels bad on the card with 14 matches.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tony Storm retains here. Moving on, unless anyone has other thoughts on that match, which was very short.
There's no reason to stick on it.
The constant griping is going to be our...
Yeah.
All right. After that, we have... For me, match of the night, Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega in a singles match for the IWGP United States Heavyweight Championship. This was, I think, one of the best matches that Kenny's had in a while, which is saying something, because Kenny has nothing but good matches.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this
40 straight minutes of kicking ass.
This match is crazy, especially because especially thinking of their first match they had was crazy this year, and this match was even better. So yeah, that's just crazy how good both these guys are. There's so many spots that I feel like only these two people can do.
For sure, yeah.
Just the pure athleticism between the both of them, and just like I really appreciate this too because how many callbacks there was to the original match that they had against each other, and just they they reward you for paying attention. It's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think there's a couple spots in here that are absolutely insane. There's one particular moment where it looks like Kenny broke his neck.
Yeah.
I swear I don't know how he didn't. I got very worried when I saw that spot, but he's fine.
Tiger Driver 97.
Yeah, there's a reason people don't use that move.
Yeah.
There's a real reason that the Tiger Driver is not a go-to for more people. Yeah, I think Will Ospreay has a great showing here and really shows why he's in the same conversation as Kenny and these other people. I think the commentary put it in a great way of this is Ospreay proving that he is the equivalent of Kenny in New Japan now, and not just the replacement. Which I think is a really good angle to take. Yeah, just an insane match the whole time. Very technical, with lots of funky stuff on the apron, and just really
too.
solid.
Yes, brutal.
Yeah.
Fun things done with the Canadian flag.
Yes, that was super cool.
I'm just happy because from a wrestling standpoint, Will Ospreay has improved so much over the last couple of years. Because people always go to that one thing him and Ricochet did, in 2016, of them just
you're fading out a little bit, Ryan. You can
oh man, not
move into your mic a little bit.
Of all the stuff that Will Ospreay and Ricochet did in 2016, and a lot of people hated it because of how flippy they were. And I feel like both of them took a stance on it, where Ricochet still kind of just does the same exact stuff. Where Will Ospreay, he can still do all that flippy stuff and make it look seamless, but the way he does it now makes it seem like he's there's a struggle to it. He can still do all that stuff, but the way he builds up to it now is just so much better.
Yeah.
Going crazy.
It's better paced because it's exactly. It becomes part of the drama where usually a lot of his flippy stuff is usually to get out of another person's thing. Kenny's about to an impact of being thrown from the top rope or something. Now it's not him landing on his back. He somehow just flipped 90 degrees and just lands perfectly on his feet and continues it with a somersault and then gets right back into it. And that's never gonna get old. That's super impressive to watch. Probably took a ton of practice and is probably still 50% luck to get that consistent all the time. But it looks crazy. This is top 10 anime battles for sure, and it's real life. The part where they're on the outside and Will is just smashing Kenny's face into the wooden plastic outside part of the commentary table, and Kenny just goes limp, and he keeps doing it over and over. It's so brutal. I don't that. That's another thing where I don't know how. There's no extra. Oh, here's how you do this safely, or oh, Kenny's just selling. It's no. That is face against just a hard object with nothing stopping it. I don't know how nobody got horribly hurt there, but it was so sick because it called back to the previous match they had this year where Kenny basically, albeit a little bit worse, did the same thing to Will with the Japanese table, and that's where the blood started there.
Yeah,
but just you could really tell that it's just two highly skilled opponents that they have that kind of fighter's respect, but at the same time, in character, they hate each other's guts. and that's the only way they can stand up to fighting this hard for basically almost 40 minutes. And this, wow, it's a crazy match.
And, like, the final minute of this match, 2 minutes of this match is incredible. The amount of, like, crazy exchange that happens, and the flow, all the moves of, like, Kenny gets in the exact position to pull a one-winged angel off, and then Will manages to slip behind him and reverse it, and it's just, really, really great sequence of moves. Ending in Kenny getting taken out, absolutely, after kicking out of the Tiger Driver, just getting belted, and very, very good match. I do have one complaint, which is Don Callis. I can put up with a lot of ref bullshit in wrestling, a like huge amount. The thing that breaks me is when the ref like ejects the person on the side, and then they come back in and continue to stay by the side for the rest of the match. Even though it doesn't do anything, it was insane. That was one of the most annoying things that I'd seen. And I think it was truly incredible that slid, and nobody actually just forcefully ejected Don Callis. I would have loved to see a security guard walk out with Don Callis on his back.
He's got his private guy. He's got his private police there. What are they gonna do about it?
They didn't stop him from being thrown out the first time.
Exactly.
But I do get because I remember also being like, okay, this is really like they're bending the suspension of disbelief pretty seriously here, which I don't think for any of us this is like a deal breaker that makes the match like any worse or anything. It's just like they really wanted this specific thing to happen. But I feel like if it was just like he ran out and gave the screwdriver and if he like just did it like super like rushed fast and didn't stand on the outside
if he
for like
had
5
gone
more
away
minutes
after doing that, I would have been totally fine with it. But instead, it's like there's literally for the rest of the match, Don Callis is just circling the outside after being ejected, and I'm like, this is really, really breaking the suspension of disbelief here.
Well, I think
the tolerance for a DQ.
I think that's the thing, though, because we need to realize that this is held under New Japan rules. So if it is DQ'd, that is a title change. And I think Don knew that, maybe in story, Don knew this, and he knew that the ref wouldn't want to DQ because that's
I wish commentary had said that.
I wish Excalibur.
I wish that was a thing that was explained, because I think they're not going to expect everyone watching this to be familiar with New Japan rules.
No,
which is crazy because for other matches we're like, oh yeah, this is under New Japan rules, which there are these rule differences.
Well, I mean, I kind of just inferred it was under New Japan rules when they were on the outside for more than 10 seconds too, because they had the 20-second countouts in Japan. So
well, that's something that usually Excalibur is like eager to point out like immediately.
Yeah.
I did not know the thing you just brought up. That
absolutely, it was not.
That's what.
About the title
Because when Evil was champion in New Japan, they got away with so much bullshit because they didn't want to DQ to change the title. So he just had people constantly running interference, and I think they could have done better here. They could have had Konosuke run out or something instead of kind of have you saw Don come out there with Konosuke, and then Don left, and then Konosuke was on the outside and gave the do the same thing that Don did at the end, but have Konosuke do it. But,
yeah.
I don't know.
And again, not deal breaker for the match. It's
a case of the rest of this match is an incredibly solid 10 out of 10. There's one thing that is just so noticeable because of how weird it is next to everything else.
They also just could have not thrown Don out at the time, huh?
That is also
true.
Yeah,
there's so many potential fixes for this problem.
They could have knocked him out or something for a bit.
And then he has to get taken out by a medical team or something.
Or you have his cool police officers take him out there for a second, and then he comes back.
The firemen carry him out.
there could have been a lot of other ways where they got Don to like leave for a bit for him not to be a presence and then to return instead of him being thrown out and then coming back.
Yeah.
I do wonder if the screwdriver is going to come back into play at some point. If there's going to be a second match here of Kenny being angry that he lost because of interference, and maybe trying to play up like Will's insecurity of like, you aren't actually better than I am. I'd be curious to see that's a line they're going to follow next year at the next Forbidden Door. So
I think it's going to be happening at Wembley.
You know what? That's a good spot.
That would make a lot of sense.
That's a good spot. All right. Please. Well, moving past that and our prediction for Wembley, we're going to talk about Sting, Darby Allin, and Tetsuya Naito versus the Suzuki Gods, Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and Minoru Suzuki.
This match was so bad. This match was terrible.
This is weird because every individual person in this match is good on their own, but when you add them together, it does not equal the separate parts.
This is like easily, because Sting's been doing so good, this is easily like Sting's worst match he's had in AEW, which is crazy considering the amount of people in this match that like could have made it so much better. There's just like no chemistry between any of them, which is like really weird. Like it's cool to see Naito. You know, this is first. He rarely does like North American shows. The last one he did was at the gaming tournament CEO that Kenny Omega had a New Japan side event for, which the main event was him and Ibushi versus Naito and Hiromu in like 2017. I think besides that, like Naito has not made an appearance in anywhere in North America, and that sucks because this was not a good match for him to be a part of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean this is unfortunate. I think is the best thing.
It like never like people say like it never got out of like the first gear. I feel like it never got running. Just like I don't know, like Chris, and that's the thing. Like I don't think Chris and Sting work too well together, and that's going to be something that I still think because spoilers. There was a match that they had afterwards, and I still don't think they had the best chemistry together, even though the match on Dynamite was better.
By a long shot, I think.
By a long shot, too, but it was still just kind of weird.
Yeah, I will say, I think the two people here that did have chemistry were Naito and Sammy. I think when Naito and Sammy were the two in there, they were playing off of each other really well. And I could see that being a fun singles match, but as soon as someone else got in, like Darby tagging in, hip checks Naito by accident because he's backing up, and it's just really funny to watch like the reaction to it. I think Suzuki was just, I don't know, not on point this time.
Nah,
he just doesn't match well against Darby because it does look like the Murder Grandpa looks amazing, but Darby doesn't take it well.
So,
yeah.
Sammy Guevara almost killed Sting twice.
Yep. Hard to say how close to intentional.
He 100% was not supposed to take that table spot. He was supposed to get up. I know for a fact. But I don't know, man. I just don't think this match was good.
Yeah, and I wonder if it would have even mattered, right? Because what after Kenny and Will Ospreay is going to leave any sort of impression?
That too,
right?
Too.
Like, like the match after this does, but I think even if this match was like even solid, it would have just been like, oh, okay, that's like I don't feel as badly about it as I do now, but like I'm not gonna even, I don't know, it would just be very strange because it's not like, I think you can have the feeling of constant bangers more towards the beginning of a show because you haven't been watching for 4.5 hours yet.
Yeah.
But the closer you get to the end, the more it's like, okay, this one is definitely a match of the night. Okay, never mind. This one is definitely a match of the night, and whatever is in between them is like, I don't really care about this because my brain's too full all the other cool things that have already happened within the last like 20 minutes or whatever. So it's a weird place to put it too. I feel like this is probably Jericho being like, oh well, I'll definitely be able to keep the crowd going because I'm Chris Jericho and I'm Canadian. And I don't think it really mattered in either case.
I mean, after that Kenny match, like Kenny and Will tore down the house, I think is the way to say that. And anything after that is gonna be, I mean, the crowd's gonna be tired. Like, yeah, I don't think there was anything that Jericho could have done to revive the crowd at that point. All right, next we have the Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada versus Bryan Danielson. A match that has long been teased and maybe didn't deliver perfectly because of some unfortunate things that happened with Bryan Danielson's forearm.
Not perfectly, but I think it was still very, very good.
Yeah, it was still very good.
Yeah, still very good. I think it's just unfortunate this was after the Kenny and Ospreay match.
That too,
I think they did. Yeah.
I wonder if they should have flipped them, just because, I mean, the Ospreay match had a title on the line too, and this is not a title match. This is entirely relying upon like these are the best two wrestlers in the world, theming around Bryan Danielson and Okada. And yeah, I mean, it's a good match. It's very solid.
Very technical. Bryan Danielson came out to the final countdown. That was awesome.
Yes. Made me so happy.
And yeah, it was just because the way that they were pacing this, definitely they're supposed to be 10 more minutes, but they couldn't do 10 more minutes because Bryan Danielson's forearm was just split in half because of him doing an elbow drop of all things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because that elbow drop did look very cool.
Yeah,
it looked like it really hurt him.
It looked like it really hurt him.
And like that's the thing is like they've definitely meshed well together. Their styles are working well, and then just as soon, like now in hindsight, knowing where he broke his arm, like he started doing like the shaky spot a lot to try to like he was like kind of just like almost like having a seizure, which he likes to do a lot for some reason. Considering, but like he was really using that here
because it is really scary when someone does that.
Yeah, and he was trying to use that to try to like convey and get to the like ref and to the doctor, like, yeah, my arm's broken. And then like Okada was just kind of there. He just picked him up. So it was just, I really wish they run this match again because it was good. But I feel like I would love to see them give this another go and really see how much more they can go with it.
Yeah, I would love to see round 2 in a year when Danielson is nice and healed and not breaking his arm again. Because the parts of this match that are incredible are really, really good. Because both of these wrestlers are just so smooth and so like free flowing between moves. They're better at transitioning between different areas of the ring than most other wrestlers. And yeah, it just is a very, very solid match until that end spot where it just kind of I don't want to say it's bad. It just sort of deflates a little bit because you can tell that something's off.
Yeah. Because I remember watching it and obviously not knowing that he was actually and just being like, oh man, like he's just selling. Okay, it's a weird spot to make the pace slow down, but I guess this is because they're both just such good wrestlers that, oh my gosh, I can't believe that Bryan Danielson's he's hurt. And then honestly, in a way, it kind of elevated it for me after the fact, seeing someone repost the nurse's Instagram post showing the X-ray of one of his forearm bones being broken, and just being like, he wrestled like 10 minutes with that, and I was like, okay, well that's mad respect for Bryan Danielson, but also that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
I mean, hopefully he didn't exacerbate it. Is really what I'm hoping for, is that he was careful enough with that arm to not make it worse, which I think Danielson's good enough to have called that and been able to avoid doing anything too reliant on it. But you can really tell that he's in pain, like looking at the end here. But But yeah, super solid match. Overall, this card was excellent.
Yeah.
I mean, our one like downfall match being the Jericho and the Suzuki Gods. It's not the worst match ever either. It's just kind of mediocre. So
compared to everything, yeah. And they run it back better in the next episode of Dynamite or Rampage. So.
All right. Any final thoughts on Kazuchika Okada versus Bryan Danielson?
Round 2, please.
Give me more.
It's very obvious. Do it again.
give
Everybody
Danielson another arm. Let's get him a robotic arm.
Just like Samoa Joe, yeah.
Just like Samoa Joe, he can be the Serial Man's right-hand man, and we're gonna give him a robotic arm. Yeah, that's, I think, the end of our discussion of Forbidden Door. What I do want to do, next pay-per-view we have, and Collision will have been a thing for a little while. I want to talk about Collision next time, so that we have an idea of, like, are people vibing with the new show? Is Rampage...
Me talking about Collision myself for 30 minutes.
Yeah. Well, because that's the thing, too, is that, like, I get out of work at 9 on Saturdays if I do have work, so I've already missed like the first hour, and it's like, well, I don't know, I'm tired. It's too much wrestling in 1 week.
I feel like my gut feeling says Rampage is now extraneous.
It feels like it, as the one who's kept up with it. It does feel so. The last one was pretty good, but I feel like most of them have like a solid beginning and like an middle and a pretty good end, which is like it's only an hour, but it's also 10 p.m. Eastern, so I feel like a lot of people this side of the country probably don't see it as very worth it.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
It's also at an awkward time in Pacific time. Like, it's just hard to watch on like Friday at 7 p.m. It's a wacky spot. It doesn't feel very conducive to people watching it, at least in Pacific. So all right, that's the end of our show. I'm gonna close out, and we'll see you next pay-per-view.
Bye.